Hello everyone and welcome back to Etoh Honest Reviews. Last time we reviewed turf glitching and healing. So let's just do another tower, I guess. And this time we have turf impulse by Expectations, one of my favorites. So yeah, this tower is pretty cool in my opinion. I just really like the classic style, even though this is my favorite tower in the game. I am still trying to not be too biased and just speak a bit more objectively. Of course, this video is gonna have some bias, I guess. I mean, with honest reviews, I just mean my honest opinion about these towers. Just unfiltered, I guess. But yeah, I just really like this tower. Anyway, before we even start with the reviewing part, let's just start over with this tower's history. So this tower was the third ever tower to be made and to be an Etoh. It was made by Toon and did a lot of things for the first time, which you have to remember for this video and when you're playing this tower. Basically this tower was the first ever collab tower, which is pretty cool, which showed creators and players that you could make towers with more people than just a single person. Of course, in the early days of Etoh, there weren't really that many collab towers, but nowadays, basically every tower in the game is a collab tower, and it's done by a developer. This tower also was the first ever tower to use X pushers, wobbly platforms, and yeah, it's also kind of known for its mazy gameplay. Oh yeah, I forgot it also introduced kill break spinners, which is kind of cool. It also was like, it's mostly also just known for having a ton of kill breaks, which is the most of the difficulty where it comes from, just from health management and client object based gameplay. Since most old towers are client object based, this kind of makes sense. This is I would say that this is the final entry in the Toon Beginnings trilogy, which this is a trilogy that I made up, which is basically just the first 3 towers that were ever made. This includes Tower Fake, of course, Tower Screen Punching, and of course Self-Imposed by Expectations. But yeah, this tower has really some creative gameplay in my opinion. For its time, of course. I'm mostly just in these honest reviews gonna talk about my opinion, like, for like their time also. Oh yeah, this tower is also known for having a lot of tight ropes, which is also, okay, yeah. That's, I guess, interesting. Of course, there are some infamous parts of this tower, like the floor 8 outside, which is, for many, the hardest part of the tower. When I initially grinded this tower, I didn't really struggle too much. I actually fluked that part. I struggled more with the tight ropes on floor 8 than with this, and with the outside, which is kind of funny. But I guess I was playing on mobile, which kind of makes sense that I felt tight ropes a bit. So yeah, so if you're wanting to complete the tower, here's some tiers that I would recommend you do first. I would definitely recommend that you do Tower Screen Punching first, since it's basically just the most basic early Toon tower. It really isn't so much like crazy and creative like TYE and TOH. You could also do Tower of Rage if you want to, but I would not really recommend that. You could also do a Ring 2 challenging, which I also don't recommend, but I just recommend, in my opinion, that you just need to do Tower Screen Punching at least to do this tower, since these are pretty similar. I also would recommend that you will get a heal item, because without one, this tower is, even in my opinion, not the best. Anyway, yeah, let's continue. So now I'm gonna recap the tower and tower's gameplay and just the most notable things. So we start off at the first floor with that pyramid structure, which is really iconic to the tower. We also see some kill breaks on this floor, indicating that this tower will have and has a lot of kill breaks. But the rest of floor floor 1 has just some wacky jumps, and that's it. After that, we got onto floor 2 with one of the more iconic beginnings of these floors, with this the series of falling platforms. Yeah. After that, we get onto some weird rap kind of walk around kind of thing, some wobbly platforms. And after that, it's pretty straightforward gameplay with some tight ropes. Then we add to this weird structure, which is pretty cool. If you've ever played Tough at True Skill, this might be pretty similar to the structure on floor 2. Kind of funny that these two have a bit of a similar color on the frame. After that, though, it's again pretty straightforward gameplay with just a bit of traps. Which, oh yeah, this is a tower with a lot of traps, by the way, and skips. Then we get onto floor 3, where we get introduced to a mechanic from tough screen punching. The alternate path section of, even though sadly nowadays the first path doesn't exist anymore. It used to have an X pusher and some slanted platforms. I don't know why they removed it, but I guess it's now gone. And the first ever X pusher was also. Yeah, after that we again just get some straightforward gameplay until we get to the first outside of the tower, where you need to do this thing, where you can do the skip that I just did, or just something different. You can also just, you know, do this, and then just some simple trust gameplay. Which was also, fun fact, the first time we saw trust gameplay like this being used in a tower. Even though you're now able to skip it, it's pretty important for the history, especially for the gameplay. Yeah, the rest of floor 3 is pretty straightforward. We just do this head hitter sort of jump, or you can just do this if you want to be safe. And then we get onto floor 4. Floor 4 is kind of a basic floor, since in my opinion the first 3 floors are introducing you to the gameplay. With floor 2 introducing you to the client objectness, floor 1 just existing, I guess, and floor 3 introducing you to the heavy kill break nature of this tower. This tower is actually one of the most purest based floors of the entire tower, in my opinion, due to just, you know, having some not that much client object based gameplay. Like the floors before that each had a section filled with a ton of client objects, but in my opinion this is really just the most purest base floor. This is also the first time we saw fin studs being used without being against bots or something like, or for wraps. Which is kind of funny that these were used for wraps before being used like this in tough screen punching. Kind of crazy, I know. But yeah, floor 4 is definitely the first time you're gonna struggle a bit with this tower. Most beginners, when they start their grind, are probably giving up around floor 4 to 6. Then again at near floor 8, because that part's pretty hard. But once you're done with these with these floors, the tower's pretty easy actually. Most would say that this is a challenging tower, and I kind of agree with that take. It definitely has some intense parts, but these are, you know, bottom intense, and there are only like three floors which are kind of near of an intense difficulty. Like for example, these parts here, this part is in my opinion like peak challenging. In my opinion, the hardest floors are floor 5 and 4. Anyways, let's continue with the gameplay recap. So after we done these fin studs, we're kind of getting a break of them. We just do these pretty creative trust things, and after that, just we get a trap. Which, funny thing, is pretty similar to these slides, just a bit more high quality, I guess, and terrific. And then we get onto some more simple gameplay, and then some stick outs, which you can cheese. Don't worry, you can cheese almost every jump. Then we just get onto some straightforward gameplay, and then we get introduced to these tilting kind of platforms. I don't know, I think these are tilting platforms, I'm not sure though. Then we just get onto the simple path, which is again only there are only like 2 parts of this floor which uses kill breaks. The rest is just completely purist. Now we get onto floor 5, where we get introduced to another important mechanic of this tower. Not only do we get more like of these platforms similar to these trusses on floor 4, but we also get introduced to a more unique way of using, you know, wobbly platforms than these wrap thingies that we saw on floor 2. We also get onto another tilting platform, and yeah, this truss exists. A lot of people don't know that. Also, we have now this pretty cool decorated chair part and this table, which is kind of neat. But now we are introduced to these spinners, which are really important from floor 5 to 8, because these are also some of the hardest floors of the tower, and they use them the most. This is also the first time we see the kill brick spinner, which is, you know, just a spinning kill brick. I know, insane. Now we get onto the hardest part of this floor, and also just, you know, the last part too. This section. Many have a big problem with this part. Fuck. Why did I try to do that skip, man? Okay, yeah. I thought there's another skip where you can just basically climb a platform. That was kind of stupid on my side, to be honest. But yeah. Nothing really okay, yeah. Why am I loop failing floor 1? Anyway, yeah, after that we got onto like this Finstop part, which in my opinion is one of the more bad parts of this tower. Even though I heavily like this, floor 5 and 4 are some of my least favorite floors. You know, let's take a quick break from the gameplay analysis and talk about the design real quick, okay? Because I want to get that out of the way. This tower, for its time, again, has some of the best designs we have ever seen. Like these kill break things look pretty good compared to tower screen punching and heck. And also the frame colors are pretty nice too to look at. They're also quite unique in my opinion. Okay, I'm failing a literal challenging floor. Anyway, yeah, this tower just has some pretty cool design, and I really like the rotated style of gameplay in some parts. Also, the staircase is pretty nice too. This tower really doesn't look too bad, even though the original version has a lot of bad traps. Which is, in my opinion, okay, yeah. I can get why you would kind of hate this tower if you're an older player and you just don't like traps. It kind of makes sense if you're not a big fan. I'm also not the biggest fan of traps, but I also don't mind these too much since they're indicated. And I mean, this is a free chat, free intent, so why do you even are even mad? Yeah. Yeah, one more important thing that I wanted to say is that this tower was at one point considered remorseless and was the first ever intense tower, of course. And also another cool thing about this tower is that it was initially planned to be hard. Around the same difficulty of Tower Fact, by the way. Yeah, you know, that worked well. Yeah, this tower was thought to be impossible. This is also why it's called Tower of Impossible Expectations. Also, the verifier, you know, you're not really sure. Like, you can't really be sure, but like the oldest footage that we have is by Etoh, which, yeah, is the creator of TUC and other popular towers that are old. Which is kind of insane that Etoh was at one point the best obvious, or at least like, beat one of the hardest towers at the time. This tower, yeah. Also, the other person that Orbentoon collaborated with, I think, was a moderator. No, a lobby builder, sorry. Awesome Cool Pop was a lobby builder, if I remember correctly. Orbentoon was the owner and scripter, and Ice and Salt was a moderator. I might have this basically, like, I think they used to say that, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, this is just the definition of early Etoh. I mean, okay, what is going on today? Yeah, this tower was also the first. Okay, no, this was not the first ever one to use wedges, I guess. One of other, yeah, oh yeah, I want to talk about the design. So yeah, this tower definitely used a lot of parts to just do some small decorations, which is kind of neat. Like for example, these platforms are for free and this part. There isn't really anything ugly. I think this tower used to have like an older version Z fighting, but I think the developer team fixed it. Since there are a lot of parts which could have Z fighting, but it's fixed. I guess I'm not really the most sure about this, you know. Also, this was the first time we saw a 2-star stick out, which is also kind of neat, I guess. Basically, Call of True Skill would exist without that jump. Okay, yeah, no, it would exist, definitely. Anyways, yeah, this was also, I think, the first. Yeah, this tower has 2 different sound effects besides music, which was also the first time, dude. First of all, that like alert sound effect on the trap again, as you've heard, and also I'm not really 100% sure, but when you like touch the insta kill on floor 10, I think it also plays the sound effect. At least it does that in the practice place WFL. But I'm not the most sure about that, you know. So yeah. Let me continue. So, oh yeah, this tower I think also used to have a gameplay and creativity star when the star rating system was still a thing. For again, I think it at least that like around 1 or 2 stars. Oh no, I think it was the owner favorite star and the yeah, creativity star. Yeah, I think it got these stars. Because if I remember correctly, is the purple star the creativity star or design star? I'm not really sure. Or the gameplay star. It could basically have everything. I'm not gonna play that risky this time and not do the skip that I normally do. Not the one that I just failed, but the, you know, another one that I do more often. Yeah, also this is a pretty big kill break spinner, kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, this time I'm gonna use, yeah, for this part I'm gonna use skip, since these are safer than to do it legit. Anyways, yeah, I just gotta talk about the safety area first of all. Like the kind of net on the floor 6, on floor 6. Basically, there's like a truss on that outside, and it used to bring you to a staff member team, but now this doesn't. But now we come to my favorite floor of the tower, or at least one of my favorite. We're also now on like the 3 hardest floors. At least floor 8 and 6 are the hardest. Floor 7 is really easy. First of all, we get to choose again another path. I would not recommend that you do this one, since this has a lot of fin studs, and you know, you don't like fin studs. But we get onto this wobbly platform part, which is pretty cool. It's kind of spammy, I guess, but come on, it's pretty epic. And I was also to praise the music on this floor, even though I am a huge fan of every single song in this tower. I like this song especially. I mean, I don't know what the artist was cooking, but it was definitely something good. We also get onto this mildly confusing and weird part. And now we get onto the more like thing that people associate with Tower of Imposter Expectations. Most of the times, if you have a spinner with like a curved like a cylinder and that like with a spinner, that's kind of based off floor rates outside, of course. And you will get what I mean in a second, but also many people say that it's like mazes are kind of from TYE, and I kind of get this. Since this tower has around 2 pretty infamous mazes. First of all, this one with the kill break spinner, and second of all, the last maze, basically just the last obstacle on floor 9 on like the net, where you basically need to do a, you know, maze with just a lot of kill breaks, which is one of the final tests. Okay, yeah, again we get introduced to another pick a path section, which is, okay, not pick a path, but, you know, alternate path thing from touchscreen punching. You can either do this pretty simple path, which I always do, or just this thing here, which is pretty confusing. It's simple, I guess, but it's confusing. Now we get on to floor 7, which I always like to call a calm before the storm. Why? Because floor 8 is one hell of a floor. Luckily when I beat this tower first on PC, I fluked floor 7 to 10. Like, I did it on the same run. Of course I had some fails on floor 6. Which in my opinion is sometimes it's the hardest floor, sometimes not. But it is floor, you know, again I'm gonna do skips. But you basically just need to go around the structure and a lot of lyrics. Now we get another part that's kind of tied to impossible expectations, which is some lyrics. Then we get to the first instance of Kubrick wraparounds. Kind of cool, you know. And that's it with floor 7 basically now. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell that we get a huge partial net on floor 6 to, with that ball pit. Now we are on to floor 8, one of the most infamous floors in Ring 1. Without SC towers counting, this is by far one of the hardest floors in the entire area. It might get defeated by most of Tots' floors, but it's definitely a hard challenge. And most people struggle with this and floor 6. You get also introduced to the moving platforms, which are also pretty new at the time, because no tower used them up to this point. Also, this floor has a lot of tight ropes and kill bricks, of course. Yeah, but I think the first way that they immediately introduce you to a pretty cool and creative way to use, you know, kill bricks and moving platforms. Then we get onto this mildly confusing spinner part, which is actually not that bad once you get it. It's basically just, I recommend you just climb this and then just wait until you get to the spinner. Then we get onto another X pusher. In the practice places stay stuck. Okay, now we get onto a more infamous part. This is the first time we see a glitch being used in Etoh. This is actually huge, since this is a dance clip, which has been used in a ton of towers. Basically, without glitches, there weren't even... Every hard tower would just be purist or client object based stuff. So this was a pretty important part. It's not that hard nowadays, but still, this was huge for its time. Now we just do some simple tight ropes, I guess. I wanted to say for this part that there's also like these like leather things, but also touchscreen punching already did that with the LOL sign on floor 4. But yeah, this is the first time we get like a full-on sentence, which is, the sentence is, hello, you need help. Because I think they just said you need help because this, either the next section is just extremely hard, which it is, or you just need a life because you're so good at the game. Which I think it means both, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, this is again pretty nice and all. But yeah, this is basically just preparing you for the final thing. This is also the first time we like, again, saw full sentence being formed in towers and the first real message in a tower. Now we get onto one of the most infamous sections in all of Ring 1. The cylinder spinner of doom. You can nowadays just cheese it, I guess, but you know, at the time, no, oh my fucking god. That's pretty unfortunate. I wanted to show you the most of the tower. You know what? We'll just review it. You can watch a guide to see the most of the gameplay, you know. Kind of unfortunate, I guess. But, I can't change anything about it. I just did it stupid, I guess. Anyway, after we finished off that, you know, spinner part with some skips. Yeah. Yeah, with some skips, of course, because doing that legit is definitely a lot harder than doing it with skips. Anyway, yeah, basically, after that you get to floor 9, which is more about nerf control than hard gameplay. Even though it has some weird jumps, it's actually pretty simple. We get into like that spinning platform thing and then just jump onto like a tilting push platform sort of thing, which is kind of weird, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really easy. Then just some simple kill break gameplay and some tilting platforms, and then you're on a maze. The maze is, you know, pretty simple, but it will take you a lot of time to heal. So get your YouTube shorts or TikTok or Instagram reels or whatever the hell you're watching ready, because that's gonna take a bit of time, and get yourself a guide too, I guess. And after that, there's nothing between you and the win pad basically. You just need to go, you now have a net on floor 9s and basically do some simple jumps and a spinner, and then just climb the last truss backwards, okay? You don't want to find out what happens if you climb it from the front, okay? You heard from the insecure on floor 10, just know if you climb it with the front, you will meet the insecure on floor 10, okay? And he doesn't like to meet people, I guess. So I would recommend that you don't do it unless you want the badge and already have beaten this tower. Anyway, yeah. After that, it's... yeah, let's just continue now with the reviewing. So... yeah, this Taurus, again, I want to go back to the design real quick, which is pretty good for its time. I mean, it used a lot of... it was also the first time to use transparency as a... not as a kind of gameplay element, but also for some design choices besides the frame, which is pretty good, I guess. But yeah, in my opinion, the creativity also was pretty good for this tower. I mean, without this, we wouldn't have collab towers. Also, we wouldn't have a ton of the most famous and fan favorite client objects. This was also the first time we saw the plat things besides, you know, normal parts being hanging, like for this time being, in this scenario being trusses and kill rigs. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, so that's it basically. In terms of creativity. Also, yeah, client objects, basically everything, and it uses kill bricks in a way that we've never seen before. What the hell just happened with that guy? We've never seen before. So yeah, let's just go on to the ranking, shall we? So I'm gonna now give the gameplay ranking. So this tower's gameplay is, you know, pretty okay, I guess. It's definitely pretty creative and also fun, and I'm a fan of like this roomy type of gameplay on floor 6. I like these room things, I guess. They're pretty fun and neat. That's also one of the reasons why I like Rig 1 that much, and Torf Killjoys as well as this one. You know, I just like this kind of gameplay. I don't know why, it just feels so cozy and familiar. Yeah. I might be weird for that, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, why do I say so much? Yeah. The gameplay definitely takes, lost its quality on floor 4 to 5. These are pretty bad floors in my opinion, even though floor 4 is kind of fun in the beginning. Yeah, the thin stats definitely put this gameplay down. And you can definitely see what parts Awesome Cool Pop made and what Auburn Tune. And I think Auburn Tune did most of the first 5 floors. And yeah, these are mostly not the good part. I think Awesome Cool Pop did basically floor 6 to 10. And yeah, this is definitely the better part of this tower. Again, as I said, I like floor 6, really, it's pretty fun and creative. As well, floor 7 is a nice preparation for floor 8, and floor 8 is just a nice challenge, you know. And floor 9 is just, floor 10 are just iconic and epic. Basically, the entire second half is iconic and epic. not just floor 10 and 9. But yeah, also it's really relying on Kubrick's, as I said, this gameplay, and most of the difficulty also comes from that. But yeah, with I have a heal item, so I don't mind it too much, I guess. So yeah, so I'm gonna give the gameplay, I'm gonna be nice and give it a 6.5 out of 10. You know what? Make that a 7 out of 10. You know, I'm feeling nice today. For this time is really good in terms of gameplay. Besides, of course, floor 4 and 5. But besides that, it's basically perfect. Design-wise, again, for its time, since it's pretty hard if you compare this to like 12 White Wacky Wonders or whatever its name is. This, of course, doesn't stand a chance, but you know, for its time, like 2018 towers, this is pretty decent, I guess. So I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10 for design, you know. And you know what, I'm gonna give it for creativity an 8 out of 10. Which means that this tower has 21 out of 30, in my opinion. Which is pretty good, to be honest. This is also the new best. Since the last episode we talked about turf glitching and healing, which, you know, is more of a mixed tower. But I think most can agree that this is better than turf glitching and healing, even though glitching and healing has many sections that are inspired by this tower. Even though I like both a lot, I definitely like TYE more, since it definitely has a bit more variety. And if the floor just didn't have the B-sides and, you know, the frame colors and stuff like that, every floor will be really similar, to be honest. Because the gameplay kind of repetitive, because the gameplay just mostly just repeats itself. For this one, it's pretty, like, you can tie like to every floor a certain aspect of gameplay. Like for floor 7 we have like hanging like these you know, rope platform thingies. For floor 6 we have just Kubrick spins as well. Floor 5 we have just spinners. Floor 4 we have just noble Kubricks. And floor 3 we have Kubricks, X pushers and stuff like that. Of course, a lot of these also fit to other floors, but you can just basically put for every floor an element basically. And I also really like for like, if atmosphere really had some work, had some terms of, you know what, I'm also gonna put a design up to a 7.8 out of 10, out of 30, out of 10, sorry. You know why? Because how the fuck did I fail that, man? Okay, that's not. Wait, can you do this? Yo, wait. That's actually, maybe that's even, you can't even do a skip with that. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this, you know, why I'm gonna give design a 7 out of 10 is due to the atmosphere on floor 1 and 10. Else, floor 1 and 9 and 10, of course, because the music just works perfectly. Like, floor 10 just gives you like a feeling of safety. You just pass every obstacle, only the trusses left for you. Floor 9 is like, okay, you've done the hardest part, but don't fail now or it's gonna be fatal. And then we have, you know, floor 1 with just showing you that this is nothing for new beginners with the music, and just basically terrifying you if you're new. And thinking like, oh yeah, maybe this tower isn't anything for me. Oh, what? Why is it so okay, yeah, what the hell? I think somebody needs to get fired, because why are the Kubricks Sunday? Anyway, yeah, that's basically it. Just the atmosphere work, and also like in the middle floors. So floor 2 to 8 have some really good atmosphere. Like it feels really energetic, and also the music. You know what? I'm gonna put it to a 7.5 out of 10. You know why? because the music just carries this tower, man. I mean, again, Floor 6 is my favorite song. This uses some of the APM library. Without that, Etoh would basically be screwed over because of copyright. And, you know, what do we have more? Celeste music, flipping Japanese anime pop music or something like that. I don't know. Like, what? This tower is such a variety of terms of music. It's just insane. You know what? 8 out of 10 for design, just because of the music. Okay, okay, invisible platforms, I guess. Anyways, yeah. So the final rankings are gameplay 7 out of 10, design 8 out of 10, and creativity 8 out of 10. Which means that we have delicious 23 out of 30. Which is good. We now have place 1 for towers. Again, this kind of biased, I guess, but again, yeah, this deserved the creativity star for its time. So yeah, that was it basically for Etoh Honest Reviews Part 2. Tales from Possible Expectations. See you next episode where I might do a more controversial tower. But, you know what, up to that point, it's just goodbye and see you next time. Arbus is out.